Rest and chill with who? Come on high, come on high. Hear that little bit at the end. Come on high. That's what he's singing under the breath, right? All right, let's roll some Most High first, bless your body.
Most High Christ, bless you too.
All right, so all praises to the Most High Israelites, giving us the spirit to come here and fellowship and keep His commandments and learn what His will is. So today's lesson is about exhortation to keep the faith. Exhortation to keep the faith. However, there are two questions that we will deal with. That's left over from my Q&A of last week. And the first one is in 1 Chronicles chapter 22 and 2. And the second, well, they go the same. And the question is 2 Kings chapter 8 and 26. Why is it two different ages? So let's go to 1 Chronicles chapter 22. Both of these going to be in the Holy Scriptures. So 2 Chronicles chapter 22 and verse 1, it says, "And the inhabitants of Jerusalem may Ahaziah, his youngest son, king in his stead. For the band of men that came with the Arabians to the camp had slain all the elders. And Ahaziah, how do you pronounce his name? Ahaziah, the son of Jehoram, king of Judah, reigned. 42 years old, so it's given an age. 42 years old was Ahaziah when he began to reign, and he reigned 1 year in Jerusalem." All right, so now let's go to 2 Kings, the 8th chapter. So here it gives you a description of his age, 42. Now, if possible, maybe you can hold them both, because there's several things in here I want to point out to you. So 2 Kings chapter 8 and 26 now. I'll start at 25. In the 12th year of Joram, the son of Ahab, king of Jerusalem, did Ahaziah, the son of Jehoram, king of Judah, began to reign. 20 years old was Ahaziah when he began to reign, and he reigned 1 year in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Athaliah, the daughter of Omri, king of Jerusalem. So you got two different ages. So if you had to pick and choose which one is right and which one is wrong, I think that it's a translation that the translators misprinted. And however, when you go back to Second Chronicles chapter 22, to look at that, and now verse 1, it says, the inhabitants of Jerusalem made Ahaziah, his youngest son, king in his stead. So they voted on who would be the king. They had no other choice. So Second Kings didn't display and they didn't tell you about this detail. Then it says, for the band of men that came with the Arabians to the camp had slain all the oldest. So of course, he could have still been 42 and been the youngest. But if you had to make a selection at 22 years old, it seems like that would have been the appropriate age for him to be 22 years old. And the oldest sons were slain and put to death. All right. So Ahaziah, the son of Jehoram, king of Judah, so he reigned. Now, here's the other thing that kind of gets you to see that he may have been most likely at the young age of 22 years old. Let's see. Let's go back to find me where his mom was an influence on him. Yes. Now it's in the chapter, it's in Chronicles 22. So Second Chronicles chapter 22 and the end of 2, it says his mother's name also was Athaliah, the daughter of Omri, and he also walked in the ways of the house of Ahab. So for his mother was his counselor to do wickedly right there. So it's a difference, the influence of a mother at 22 years old and 42 years old. At 42 years old, you are, well mental, especially if you're a king man, that you're going to be able to make decisions and you're going to be stronghold, mentally strong. But at 22 years old, you still are trying to feel your way from your parents, from your mother, and his mother was a very negative influence to some of the old ways that he had. So it says, and he walked also after their counsel. I'm sorry, that's skill 4. Wherefore he did evil in the sight of the Lord, like the house of Ahab, and they were his counselors after the death of his father to his destruction, and he walked after their counsel. So the regime of Ahab and the house of Ahab and Athaliah, that way of life of doing things, it never changed. All they did was continue to rule, which they didn't really see that the Most High was going to destroy them and bring them down. A lot of people don't see that you're going to be destroyed and that you're going to be brought down when everything around you seems to go okay. It seems to be going well. It seems to be going good. What you don't know is the Most High is going to pronounce evil upon you and bring it down to nothing. And that's what happened. So, he should have been a man and came back into the commandments and saw, well, this is what the Most High's got wrote in the scriptures. This is what I should do. But a lot of times it's hard to go against the grain. Remember, I was teaching your greatest enemy is what?
Influence.
That's right. Your greatest enemy is influence. Influence gonna get you killed. Influence will change your life and mess your life up forever. So, you can kick it and you can party You can dance and snap your fingers, and you can rejoice. You can do all those things that you typically do right now while in you being instigated to do, influenced to do it. But know for certain and know for sure that the Most High is going to bring you into the judgment for every single thing that you do. And only the smartest people is going to see the wiles of the devil that's coming through somebody that's trying to influence you to do something different. Because I'm going to tell you something. You're the person that's going to have to pay for the actions that you're doing. The influencer and the instigator is going to have to pay for, they're going to have to pay for what they're doing too. Everybody got to pay. But see, you're not concerned about everybody. You should not be concerned. You should be concerned about that person in the mirror. And it doesn't take you to be an older person like myself. It doesn't take you to be my age for it to click, for you to be like, okay, let me do it. I'm going to get to your age and then I'm going to do it. Do you not understand that I'm living out consequences and judgments for shit that I did when I was your age? So why do you think I'm straight telling you? If I didn't get away with it and I'm the Most High left me alive to tell, what do you think I'm doing? I'm telling you. You ain't gonna get away. Who are you? You ain't better than me. And I ain't better than you. If he got me, he gonna get you. I'm trying to stop you from putting yourself in a situation before you learn the bad. Because the difference between me and you is I didn't have nobody like you got somebody. I really didn't have somebody at beck and call. Every circumstance, every situation. I did a lot of things through straight ignorance. I flat out did not know the difference between what's right and what's wrong. I knew none of this. And yet did walked into many traps. The most I didn't erase, he just forgave it. And whatever I got myself into, I got myself, and that stuck as a thorn. Every bruise, every scar, every battle, every mental thought, every situation, you're gonna have to live with that consequence for the rest of your life. And those things, you sure you want to live with that decision? You sure that this is the right choice, even though it seemed right? And many of you do, because you haven't walked the path of life to have regrets yet. But you shall. All right. So that's that. That's definitely, a clerical error to where somebody put 42 and not 22. How many times have you wrote down the same, wrote down a wrong number or whatever? So I'll just chalk it up at that. That doesn't change no law, no statute, no commandment. That doesn't change that. What people do, they try to use things like that to discredit the Bible. And therefore, they don't do anything. And so once they discredit the Bible, they say, oh, I found a mistake. See? I tell you what, now you found a mistake. What you gonna go do now? So name the first thing that you gonna do now that you found a mistake. You gonna hit the club? Okay, you hit the club. Go to the club and we'll water it down. We'll go easy on you. You hit the club. What happened at your club? Charger get broken into. Gun gets stolen because you couldn't bring it in there. I mean, they what they call it, bink and jink. What they call it? Binking and bucking. They bink and buck your stuff. You say, oh, you found a mistake. You say, oh no, pure. I'm finna go kick it. Yeah, they got your gun. You came out, niggas ain't scared of you. You like, that's me. I wish I would catch that thing. That's me. Oh, they ain't care nothing. Them ain't scared of you. They ain't care nothing about you. What was the defining point that made you go to that joint? You think you found a mistake in the scriptures. You discredited it, and now the scriptures teach you about that. Let's go get where the scriptures teach you about that. We'll use that example. 1 Peter 4. Oh, let's get this one. 2 Maccabees 4, because this is what you was doing. I need some down, funky, house music, some house music to play with this precept here. Let me get something funky. Give me some trap to play. A shoulder to lean on. I heard. So, Second Maccabees chapter 6 and verse 4. All right. So it paused it paused it on me hitting the button. So while you in there, you doing the shoulder lean. This is what else you doing on there? Read verse 4. Second Maccabees 6 and 4.
Second Maccabees 6 and 4. For the temple was filled with riot and reveling by the Gentiles.
The temple was filled with riot and revelings. You know what revelings is? Revelings is party. So now let me get the definition of revel. All right. Revel means to take great pleasure. Let's see if I can get some more descriptions. What is revelings? What is the meaning of revelings in the Bible? The word refers to drinking parties that extended late into the night, usually ended in sexual debauchery. Yeah, it ended in sex. In other words, whether they end in sex or whether they don't, but partying is revelings. Okay, so while you find some discrepancy and you go to the joint, and then now you up in there doing the shoulder lean, or waiting for the guys. They still wait for the slow music to go on so they can walk through the club looking real cool, looking for somebody trying to exchange eyes. You trying to exchange the eye look, make the eye contact with the girl. Do they still do that? Yeah, I don't know. They still do it. They play the slow music there. Then they look through and you got the cup, you had beady eyed. Looking cool. You know, waiting to get that eyes changed. You got that look in your eye. Revelings, right? All the time, you don't know they binking. They listen. You had it clean. The niggas disrespecting the whip, right? Man, fucking bent your chrome on the outside, trying to get in, trying to pop the window quiet, scratching it up. Bigfoot, dirty mud on their shoes, everything all up in the whip. Crowbarring your what do you put it in the glove box and broke your glove box open or whatever? They disrespecting the whip, right? But why did all that happen? You try to buck the Most High. You try to try the Most High. The Most High said, "There's power in this try to reprove you." And you're never gonna tell somebody the car, especially in the truth. You're never gonna say, "You know what, man? I went to the club, and they still broke in the car, man. Feelings hurt, and they took my word. It took you and put all the little whip together. The you had the top of it milled because you a player, right? You a player, right? So you had the top of the Glock all milled up, had it all beautified and everything, gold and or whatever it is, two-toned, and you put it together, or Dracos, or whatever it is you running around here with. You had it in there. They got you. You just think, it's this area, they breaking cars, these Negroes be tripping. This, you'll be thinking, you'll blame everything but your misunderstanding of the scriptures, and that you shouldn't have been there because that's against the scriptures reveling. Every time you go astray and you misunderstand something, why you going astray, you're going to pay for that. A gun like that might cost you, you might spend $1,200-$1,400 in it. Yeah.
Down the drain now.
Yeah. Not alone the cost of the glass, the car, windows, insurance. We got insurance, that's $500 deductible. Sometimes $1,000. Who got $1,000 deductible in here? $1,000 deductible? 1, 2, 3. I ain't gonna ask us who don't have insurance. Who don't have insurance? So 2 Maccabees 6:4, for the temple was filled with riot and revelings by the Gentiles. So this happened in the temple, who dallied with harlots. So when we go to the places where reveling is, yeah, y'all don't know those harlots there. For real, you don't know that. The first thing a woman be like is, don't call me no what? Oh. But her past and her pattern and her lifestyle is saying that she's a harlot. She don't want to consider herself that. She don't want to consider herself that. The only woman that wants to consider herself a hoe is one that don't care, ashamed. You know, she don't care. I guess I don't want to be like the stripper, you know, because some of them, they know it. And then some, they be like, I'm guilty with an explanation. I got bills to pay. Nigga, you not finna pay no bills. So they'll be like that. They got bills to pay. But all of that is straight wicked and harlotry. If you don't want to be seen as a harlot, don't go in there, because that's what people do. They go in there. That's like where they go to find somebody to hook up with. Mm-hmm. Have drinks, look for somebody. Women be like, where the niggas at? And niggas be like, where the hoes at? Or where the bitches at? They be like that, excuse my language. They be like that. And they go in there looking. And they might be looking for one particular type of person that fits and meets the criteria of their desire. And if they don't find it, then they drink and then they go home. And then they think that that's not, I'm no whore. But let your parson come up in there. You ain't gonna leave without giving him some attention. And you might not, as a woman, you might not jam him up that day because you trying to fight off the best that you can not to get that jacket of a hoe. But let him deal with you for a few weeks and bam, you gotta be on your back. Straight up. And that's why the Most High saying that that's what whores do. So ain't no way around it. Don't get these scriptures twisted like you try to make excuses like it's wrong. The Bible ain't wrong. This society is wrong. And it's getting us in trouble with our God. Not supposed to have that behavior. Sometimes you leave with disease, so you didn't get your car didn't get broke in. You ended up with a Negro that was fine with you as a woman, and now you bruised up. You didn't know he was like that. You didn't know he was crazy. You gave him a taste of your affection. No, this nigga is crazy. You gave him a taste. Not many people do that. I know, I've known in time past to where I don't even say this to him. I know why the guy is going crazy. Because, and it's a first time for everything. When I say it's a first time for everything, your behavior as a woman, your behavior, you might have what they call some hobos in you. You might want to be share your affection. Let me say it like that. You might want to share your affection. You share your affection to somebody that put on a front street. Now this guy's crazy. You think it's cute that he's crazy of you, that he's jealous of you, until he's listening after he popped you in your head. I've seen it. Y'all ever seen a guy jumping on a girl before? I have. Mm-hmm. I straight have. I was younger. I seen this guy, big old dude, jump on this girl just for speaking to somebody. It was his woman. I mean, he drug her through the parking lot and whooped her behind just for speaking. Now, you might say, I ain't gonna mess with nobody like that. How you know? You in the club. You in the streets. You getting this from the base. That's how people are. These guys don't play that. They don't play that. Don't discredit the scriptures and then go sin, because you're going to end up in trouble. You're going to end up biting off more than you can chew. Don't work like that. So it was something else. What else a person might do? They say, oh, well, I see this don't add up. So now they don't want to believe in the scriptures. Now they're going to go do what? What's the next thing they might go do?
Smoke a blunt.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Yes.
Smoke a blunt. We talked to a brother today in the camp. The guy said he had smoked some stuff and he was just like knelt to the chair. He said he couldn't even get out. You know, it reminds me of the sunken place. Remember the guy was just falling backwards and he knew something wasn't right? Right. Without a show of hands, anybody in here, you ever did some drugs? You've been so high, you've been so messed up that where you messed up and you know that, damn, I'm messed up. I'm so high, something ain't right. You know, it's like you like falling backwards or whatever. You just, hey, a lot of times people don't come back from that. And my line of work, dealing with these scriptures and being a counselor, you know what? I've had people really tell me that how they used to be normal, but smoking weed is like a gateway. You think it's not crack, you think it's not PCP dip. I don't know if you know about that stuff. Water. People was getting, when I was your age, people was getting watered out. That's like embalming fluid. They was smoking, they was calling it whacked out. Snorting heroin or shooting the stuff, snorting cocaine or shooting it. You think that is not that heavy, that marijuana is not that heavy. Marijuana has chemicals in it. What do you think instantly alters the chemistry of your mind state? What do you think is altering it? What do you think is doing it? And it's potent, it's so potent that it does it instantly. If you were to be permanently high, you wouldn't like that. If you were to be permanently altered, you wouldn't like that. The Most High made you the way that he made you. I've known people to say, I wasn't like this. I smoked and now I'm messed up. Don't tempt the Most High in whatever misunderstanding that you might have in the scriptures because you don't understand something. And then you use that as an avenue to do something that you're doing. Because it don't end well for you. We've seen many people that the light is turned off now because of that. The guy that we spoke to, you know, we're trying to get him to come to the school. The guy that we spoke to out there, this guy was like, yeah, man, he was just smoking weed and he got messed up. You know, he said he'd been there and done that before to where it messed me up. He's like, it messed me up. A lot of people will not confess that it messed them up. They'll just ignore it and think that, you know, I smoked too much or I didn't eat enough or I had some bad stuff or somebody put something in it. Everything ain't meant for you. You know, we're not supposed to, we're supposed to be sober. All right. So let's just move on, you know, from that. Don't misinterpret the scriptures and then run to sin. Like the scriptures correct our lives on how it's not supposed to be and how it's supposed to be. And it's doing that for our good. It's not doing that to hurt us. It's not doing that to harm us. It's not doing that. It's doing it to make us better people. All right. So we could go on and on about, you know, what we could lead the scriptures and blame the scriptures and say, I find fault in the scriptures, and then we could go do something. Because everybody has their own thing that they fighting off. So the next one is Ecclesiastes chapter 4. So the question is, which poor man is this referring to? On the street or our brothers and sisters in Christ? So the precept says, reject not the supplication of the afflicted. Semicolon, that's important. Semicolon. Because that is telling you that this continues on. So you got to get your understanding from the first part. Because I'm going to ask a question. Neither turn away thy face from a poor man. So the question is this referring to people on the street or brothers and sisters in Christ? It's referring to the people of your nation. I think that we like to separate. We like to separate the brothers and sisters in Christ from the people that are on the street. See, and we have to be careful when we do that. Now, how can we judge when and who to help? So if you was listening to me read the scriptures and in detail, I kind of gave us a clue. How can we help? How can we determine who we should be trying to help?
When they come to you with a problem.
When they come to you with a problem. Okay. Anybody else? It's not really detailed, that answer.
By being around them.
No, you have to use the scriptures. What'd you say? The poor, the needy. Everybody is poor. Everybody is needy. You have to use the scripture. The answer is in the scripture.
The person called a judgment and they're coming to you for like advice to like how to get out of the situation that they got themselves in.
Mm-hmm.
They explain to you what's their affliction.
That's right. They're explaining to you. No, man, I don't know what you're talking about.
That's what I was talking about.
Listen, it says, reject not this. Here it is, the supplication of the afflicted. So they're giving you an explanation on what's going on. You understand that? You got to determine based upon that. Their supplication is they're making a request and they're telling you about what their request is. And if it's making sense to you, you're like, okay, I can help you with that. But other than that, you don't know. I don't know what I'm finna give you my money for. You finna go get a bottle? Nah, I can't help you with your bottle, bro. Yeah, you need to really be sober out here. You need to really think about what you are here doing. I'm gonna help you get your next pill. Nah, man, I can't buy no pill. Oh, gee, let me get some cigarettes. Nah, brother, you can't defile the temple. Nah, brother. Yo, I'm trying to get something to eat. Okay. All right. You trying to get something to eat? Come on over here. Let me help you get something to eat. So you gotta weigh it in a balance. Okay. So this is referring to anybody. I know we like to pick and choose who we help, but we got to be careful with that. Even their supplication. You know, Elijah was caught out here lying. He put himself out there. That boy lies, man. He's saying that the baby mama was dead and he needs to get some food or something like that. It went viral on Facebook, man. People was giving him money and was telling other people to come on in and help us, help this little guy, man, And if you know him, he knows how to finesse the situation. So what if you had stood into that line or you had pulled off into that? You could have got scammed. This just happened not even a full week ago. Yeah, so I tried to talk to him about it. Like, on my phone, man, let me call you back, click. Just like that. Just like that, in that order. So while you are here and you dealing with people and you trying to give, you got to be very, very careful. This right here, see, all the answers is always in the scriptures, the supplication. But see, he came with a real slick supplication. He had a baby out there, man, a little bitty baby. About how old is that baby? 4 or 5 months. Yeah. So I'm just left alone and mama died. Mama ain't dead. He used the baby to try and get people to give him. So even then, you got to be careful. Ecclesiastes chapter 29. In verse 7. Yeah, you heard it.
Ecclesiastes chapter 29 and 7. Many therefore have refused to lend for other men's ill dealing.
Right. A lot of people, they refuse to give because of somebody else's ill dealing. So on one end, we're fighting the thought process of somebody they ill dealing, they false dealing. But don't let that stop you from hearing the cause, every cause. That's a part. That's a part of, that's a part of being charitable. Yeah, that's a part of being charitable, being able to suffer long You got to be resilient. You know, I'm sure we all got beat before where somebody said they're going to do something with the money that we give them, and then they went and did something else. I remember one time me and Prasad was in the store and we was going to take this girl shopping, and she had us to get a list of things. She's answering the phone. She got a cell phone. Yeah, I'm gonna call y'all back. You know, she actually like someone how house got burned out and stuff like this. And then at the end of it, she's asking for the receipt. I'm like, oh man, we just got had. Because the game is you get the receipt, then you get to take the stuff back. She was trying to get us to get some high end stuff. We just let well enough alone. Let her keep the stuff that she got with no receipt. And if she can get them to return it like that, then that's on her. Other than that, she got to go home and put it on. So, ill dealings, you know. So, anybody else has been defrauded with ill dealings? You give somebody something, they said they're gonna do one thing with it, but they did something different with it. Right. Don't let that harden your heart up, because there are some people that honestly, you know, and it's hard out there to find a good honest need. You know, it's hard out there to find a good honest need, but there are. I get people come to me all the time looking for something, looking for money, looking for help, and a lot of it be scandalous and fraudulent. And then there are some that actually need. And there are some people that'll give money to me and say, find somebody to give this to, somebody that need help. And I'll wait and hold it until I find a legitimate situation. There's somebody that needs some help. I say, okay, I got something to help you with. Because people are always coming looking for some type of help. So you just got to be careful, because the situations that we in is really tough. Being subject to payments, we have very little, but for the commandment's sake, we really trying to do the right thing. It's in our conscience. Me myself, I have my money, and I'll take some money and put it into my pocket, and then I say, okay, I'm gonna give this away if I'm driving and I see somebody, I'm just gonna give this. But sometimes I come back home with it, and a lot of times I'm happy when I can give it off because I know I've given it to a worthy cause. So it's the roll of a dice. Because like I said, we're not trying to support anybody's habits, and we're not trying to be covetous to where you watch, where it's going, but you still don't want to be foolish. Let's see, is there more? Yes. Referring to be defrauded, verse 8.
Yet have thou patience with a man in poor estate.
Right. Have thou patience with a man in poor estate. The guy he's down on what we would call love. He's a victim of different circumstances. Maybe the Most High is dealing with him. And have patience with him. This ain't got nothing to do with he's on crack, he's on drugs, he's snorting pills, he's got a habit where he's tricking his change, dealing with girls. It ain't got nothing to do with that. All right? He's in a poor situation. All right? It says you be patient. Go ahead.
And delay not to show him mercy.
Right. Delay not to show him mercy. Delay not to help him. Delay not to give to him. But the key is the Sirach 4, where it talks about the, how did it put it? The supplication of his affliction. Do some research. Supplication of his affliction. Especially if it's, if it's something, you had to work hard for, you had to accumulate, you got $5, $10, $20 or whatever, you got something to where you just gonna turn around and I ain't even worried about it. I'm hoping for the best. Go and do what you gotta do, man. Get you some food or get you some gas, or I'm taking you, like some people, like I gotta take something home. I gotta get something for my children. Hey, But there are situations to where people will come to you and they might ask you for you know a week's wages or a day wage, 2 days wage. That don't just go out the door without you. What is it? Inquiring about the supplication of his affliction. And if they have an issue with supplying you information about the supplication, then I guess when you quickly decline, they'll get that message then, huh?
Yes, sir.
So, oh man, I gotta explain and tell you my business. I'm sorry, brother, you don't. You don't. No, not at this time. They don't know you was like right there at the door. You just you just trying not to. You trying to be fully persuaded in yourself that you're not scamming me, man. You actually finna go and get this food for your house and everything. Y'all ain't ate in some days or whatever, right? I gotta be convinced, right? I'm not boo-boo the fool and I'm not an ATM and I did just have to work. I worked 3 days and brother, and you asking for a day's wage or a day and a half, you asking for half my pay, so I am trying to hear your supplication and your affliction so that I can understand what cause am I really benefited with this thing, right? So be careful to do something like that. And don't just give your hard-earned bread out the door. All right? So let's see. You have thou patience with a man in poor state and delay not to show him mercy. Remember that process, right? You can't go wrong if you put some energy into that process. Help the poor for thy commandments' sake, and turn him not away because of his poverty. Lose thy money for thy brother and thy friend, and let it not rust under a stone to be lost. Let's see. Lay up treasure according to the commandments of the Most High. So that's talking about good actions. You having good actions by helping somebody, and it shall bring thee more profit than gold. All right. So helping, yes, Lord says it's gonna pan off, and it's gonna give you more profit than gold would. So, Sirach 4. Or Sirach 12, not 4. Sirach 12. All right. So Sirach 12 and verse 1, start there.
Ecclesiasticus 12 and 1. When thou wilt do good, know to whom thou doest it, so should thou be thanked for thy benefits. Do good to the godly man, and thou shalt find a recompense, and if not from him, yet from the Most High. There can no good come to him that is always occupied in evil, nor to him that giveth no alms.
So stop right there. So let's get some understanding. Let's get Matthew chapter 5. And hold Ecclesiasticus 12 so that we can see them both at the same time. Matthew 5 and Ecclesiastes 12. I was saying hold those both at the same time. Because I don't want us to be confused over Christ Yahushua, whom the world calls Jesus, on what he's wanting us to do. So you're going to start at 5 and 42. Hold up. So once you holding those two, now get Galatians chapter 2. Galatians chapter 2 and verse 17. It's the last precept that I want.
Galatians chapter 2 and 17, last precept. Is therefore Christ the minister of sin? God forbid.
So Christ is not the minister of sin. So Christ is not the minister of sin. The Lord doesn't enable somebody to sin. The Lord does not give anybody a license to sin. So would Christ give somebody something knowing that they are going to use it and go sin? Neither would he want you to do it. So I had to bring this out and show you this so that you can have an understanding on you being reluctant at different times. Do we understand? Because what if somebody gonna go buy some drugs? Because I'm finna teach you about Christ. I'm finna show you what he's finna tell you to give. But you still gotta use common sense. He's not the minister of sin. So now let's go back to Matthew 5. Okay. So Matthew 5, and where was that?
42.
All right, 42. Read that.
This is Matthew chapter 5 and 42. Give to him that asketh
Give
thee.
it to him that asketh thee. Remember, not if you ministering sin or giving them an opportunity to sin, are you gonna sin with them? Right? Give to him that asketh thee. Go ahead.
And from him that would borrow of thee, turn thou not away.
Right. So if he gonna borrow, don't turn him away. This is the understanding. You don't have to make it cliche. Oh well, they have to be in the General Assembly. Don't have to be in the assembly, because remember, the people in the assembly, they already here. You won them. You're trying to win other people. You're trying to show them the spirit of the Most High. You're trying to show them the goodness of the Most High. You're trying to be the light of the Most High. But one thing that they will need to see is that you got common sense, right? You got common sense. And don't worry if they cuss, if they fuss, if they try and get over. One thing for certain and two things for sure, they knew that they couldn't get over on you. Those your senses that you have exercised to discern good and evil. No, not this. You finna get high. No, not that. All right. But that's why, what's the other one? For us to know? Supplication of the affliction. You're going to do some detail. You're going to find out. Even if I'm going to get it for you. I'm taking people to the store. No problem. Come on. Yeah. I ain't got no cash. I got it on a card. Yeah, I want to do a good deed. Yeah, all praises. Come on, go and get what you need. I mean, don't run it up on me. But you know what I'm saying? Don't run it up on me. But go ahead. I'm here to help you. And until you can feel a little bit more trustworthy with a person. So you dealing with them, hopefully they'll come back and they'll deal with you. You can build some rapport. You can do some work. You can clean them up. You can help them out. You beginning to say, help them to save their soul. You're pulling them from save. You're doing many different things. And now a good person, like say for instance, one or you two come to one another and you say, hey, I got this going on. You know, I'm trying to do this. You're gonna be more encouraged. You're gonna be more encouraged to help that person because they built up a rapport. Somebody want to look outside?
How's the baby in the truck?
Please don't say nothing. Downstairs, please don't say nothing about the baby honking the horn. You know, let him honk. Yes, let him honk, right? So give to him that asks, Matthew 5:42, and from him that will borrow of thee, turn thou not away. Let's see. Verse 43, ye have heard that it hath been said, thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thine enemy. But I say unto you, love your enemies and bless them that curse you. Do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which spitefully use you and persecute you, that you may be the children of your Father which is in heaven. For he maketh his sun to rise on the evil and on the good, and sendeth rain on the just and the unjust. So the Lord is trying to get us to be like him. Now, but I say unto you, love your enemies and bless them that curse you. Explain that. Love your enemies. But I say unto you, it have been said, thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thy enemy. But I say unto you, love your enemies. How do you love your enemies, Jabril? All right, correct. By applying the scriptures. You don't have to go and personally get involved with your enemy. This is an enemy, somebody that's an op, somebody that opposes you, this, that, and the third. Now you're like, this becomes your main man. You're trying to deal with him. Oh no, he's gonna cut you. He's gonna hurt you. He's what? He's your enemy. You an enemy to him. He's not your enemy. You are his enemy. He see you like that. So in other words, don't render evil for evil. Don't be retaliating. This guy is doing something, you retaliate. When somebody is doing something, remove yourself. Yeah, you don't go blow to blow, toe to toe, evil for evil, eye for eye. No, don't do that. Do what's right. Because what you're doing is setting an example that you're trying to express from the beginning. That you know what? That you're harmless. You don't mean no harm. Everybody wants to make it known that they're about that life. Don't be about that life. You're not about that life. That's not your spirit. You're not murderers. You're saviors. You're trying to save people from being murderers. Our whole community is full of murderers. It's so bad to where the able, strong-bodied men at? Where the soldiers at? Oh, they bugged out. They're not soldiers. Those are cowards, man. These little dudes run around here with pistols and gold teeth and this and that. Nah, man. I know y'all think they tough. But y'all, these here are the soldiers, man. Because this is who the spirit can swoop down into, man, and deal. To where one of you, the Most High, can instruct you, and one of you can defend yourself against 1,000 men. The rest, Most High can't use them. They're gonna fall. When danger comes, they'll flee. They only do that to other people, to their own people. That's how the devil got them tricked. The guns that they practice for their own people. You don't see them going out in Clayton doing that. Chesterfield, Maplewood, Baldwin. You sure in the hell don't see them going out in them rural towns. You don't see them going in rural towns where y'all brothers drive them trucks. You don't see them out there doing that. Yeah, and I'm not trying to say that they ain't tough. I'm saying that they don't do that. That our mind is geared to hate each other. When we need, listen, so we don't want to destroy those people because you actually need those people. You don't kill your own soldiers, man. That's friendly fire. Your red dot, when you see a brother, it's supposed to be green, brother, not lit up red. That's friendly fire. You don't have friendly fire. You don't engage in that. You have a conversation in situations like that by saying, stop. No, brother, that's not what you do. And then you remove yourself from a situation when somebody don't listen to you. You just remove yourself. And it doesn't matter who it is. But you don't engage in the destruction of your own people. It's genocide. So, you love your enemies by correcting them. Bless them that curse you. They want to curse somebody is they wish something bad on you. How do you bless a person like that? By contrary, you want the best for them, they want the worst for you. You want the best for you. There's people around here that curse me, I know. You know what? I want nothing but the best for them. I be praying and wishing success for these people. I want this brother to repent, this brother to change, this brother really see the light. Remember, that's how the Christ was. They cursed him, right? Curse is he that hangeth on the tree. They cursed him. What did he say? Lord, forgive them, for they don't know what they do. So he blessed them. He asked the Most High to forgive them. Did the Most High forgive them? The answer is yes. Go to the book of Acts. So Christ is trying to teach us to be like him. All right, so Acts chapter 2 and verse 36.
This is the book of Acts chapter 2 and 36. Therefore, let all the house of Israel know assuredly that God had made the same Yahushua whom ye have crucified, both Lord and Christ. Now, when they heard this, they were pricked in their heart.
Right, so what did they do? They cursed them. Read that part again.
Verse 36. When they pricked in the heart, when they crucified.
When they crucified, verse 36.
Therefore, let all the house of Israel know assuredly that God had made the same Yahushua whom ye have crucified,
Right, whom you have cursed. Go ahead.
both Lord and Christ.
Go ahead.
Now, when they heard this, they were pricked in their heart.
Right, they were pricked. Go ahead.
And said unto Peter and to the rest of the apostles, men and brethren, what shall we do?
See, after they got corrected, the Most High gave the apostles the spirit to teach them, and they're like, man, now they felt remorseful. What do we do? So we all know that he asked the Lord to forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing. So they cursed him, and he blessed them. So whenever somebody is dealing with you like that in the magnitude where they just want the worst for you, do the complete opposite. Want the blessing that you want them to understand the difference between what they're doing. What you're doing is wrong. What you're doing is completely wrong. You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to feel it. You don't even have to say that to them. Why? Because they cursing you. They got it out for you. They're not hearing you. But the person that they will hear is the Most High. They will hear him because he speaks to their spirit. He speak in their head. He get in their mind. He try to reign. He searched the heart. He knows how to get to them. All you got to do is avoid them and do the complete opposite of what they're doing. Never render evil for evil. That's not the way. That ain't gonna do nothing but tear you to pieces. That's gonna be making you feel some type of way. You're gonna be feeling terrible. You're gonna be feeling bad. And a lot of us, we walk around with that anger, animosity, hatred, vexation of spirit. We be teed all the time because even the presence of this very person, it just derails our day. That's because you putting too much energy into that thing. You ain't supposed to put no energy into that. You're supposed to leave that person completely alone. Be like, I want the Most High to help them. I want the Most High to help them. Lord, help that person. Show them. And then go on about your business. You see, you have the ability to make your day. You just gotta stop. And a lot of times we punish ourselves with that affliction, the affliction of hatred.
Yeah.
Holding on to it, thinking about what somebody did to me, how they feel, what they think of me. We punishing ourselves with that. That's not your cross to bear. Don't make it your cross to bear. If somebody ain't right, that's their cross to bear. Why is it yours? You go off by doing that. Constantly thinking about what they do, how they feel, what they on, trying to change them. You suffering, wanting them to understand. Most highly help them to understand. So that's what he meant by bless them. He didn't say, okay, you're gonna go. Person come, they can end up crucifying you, like they crucify him. So you don't go to them. Don't if you know this person is an injurious person. There are people that are injurious. There are people I don't go around. It's even Hebrews and it's true. I don't be going with these dudes, man. These dudes, they hung Christ. They'll hang me. How many of them you see actually really come for me? You ever seen somebody come for me like you see them come for other people? Well, let me tell you why. Because I ain't told no lie up here. Not one lie. Ain't nothing I'm telling is a lie. Ain't nothing I've ever told is a lie. Ain't been nothing but the truth. And I ain't giving them an opportunity because I ain't going around them. People hate the truth, brother. It's a lot of Hebrews hate the truth. You be wondering, like, what's wrong with these Hebrews I heard? Why they teach this and why they teach that? Because they hate the light, brother. Like they hated the Christ. So you got to know that. Don't be so amped to run to any and everybody. Many years ago, I once had some brothers say they wish they had a cane. They'd say, man, I wish I had a cane. How'd you kill that nigga? Here in St. Louis. Yeah. That really told me something about Israelites. Straight up. So, you wish well for people and you just keep moving. You're supposed to be focused on number one, yourself and what you can change about yourself and your light about yourself. You don't want your light to be dim. You don't want it to be dark. You want it to be glowing. And then you want to focus on who can I shine my light to? That's it. If nobody want to follow your example, it don't matter if it's mother, father, sister, brother, son, daughter, wife, husband, cousin. It doesn't matter. If they don't want to follow your light, pray for them and then keep moving. There's nothing that you can do about that. But I do understand that, it is heavy for somebody not to want to follow the light and you know that you're right. That's when you have to bless them. Bless them by praying unto the Most High. Pray for them. And then just keep moving. All right? So after they asked, what shall we do? Peter said unto them, repent. Because what did you do? You cursed the man. In Acts 2:38, he told them to repent for cursing the Savior. They cursed him and hung him on a tree. And then he told them to be baptized. See, every one of you in the name of the Christ for the remission of sins. The number one sin is the one that they did was to curse him. And ye shall receive the gift of the Holy Ghost. So could they be forgiven for cursing him? The answer is yes. Can people be forgiven for cursing you? The answer is yes. That's the reason why you don't go to war with them. Stop trying to make them see what you see. It's just going to cause confusion. You go into the Most High. Was there anything that the Christ could have said to help them to understand? No. There was nothing he could have said to make them understand. That was something that the Father had to do. And it was all about timing. That was the number one thing. Let's see. Acts 2, doing the same. Verse 22. Read that.
Acts 2 and 22.
So this goes to what I'm saying. Is there something that he could have did to help them to understand or to make a change and difference with them? No. Because it was God that needed to do the work. Go ahead.
Acts 2 and 22. Ye men of Israel, hear these words. Yahushua of Nazareth, a man approved of God among you by miracles and wonders.
So he did miracles and wonders, read.
And signs.
And signs, go ahead.
Which God did by him in the midst of you.
Which the Most High did by him in the midst of them. Go ahead.
As ye yourselves also know.
Go ahead.
Him being delivered by the determinate counsel.
Stop. Him being delivered. So that counsel was what? Determined. Determined. Nothing he did. Nothing he did. So what make you think you can do something different, bro? You think you got to go to somebody that hates your guts and you can be able to talk to them and say this and say that? Nothing you can do is going to make a difference. I'm sorry. The only thing you can do is follow these scriptures. You can bless them. Don't give them the energy, the attention. Stop warring with your flesh with trying to make changes. Y'all at work tripping with people. Trying, you can't understand where this is going. Why they don't see your goodness. Why they don't see your olive branch. Why they don't see you really trying to be cool. I tell you what, let the Most High show it to them. Turn away from that situation and send up prayers. The Most High is trying to get you to obey him because the only thing that you're doing is being provoked. See, that's what's happening. You're being provoked. Stop letting people provoke you. Control your emotions. Control your thoughts. Control how you feel. All right? So they were determined. Being determined by the determinate counsel. Go ahead.
And foreknowledge of God.
And so that means the foreknowledge of God mean what? The Most High knew. He knew what was going to happen. The Most High knew what was going to happen. Did Christ run up behind those guys? Nope. Go ahead.
Ye have taken, and by wicked hands have crucified and slain.
You have taken, and by wicked hands you have, the interchangeable word crucified, have what?
Yeah.
Cursed. Cursed, and you killed them. You slain them. So we understand? All right. Now I'm hoping that this helps us. It gives us some understanding of how to deal with people when they just don't want to deal with you, when they're not right. It gives you some insight on what to do. Pray for them. Let the Most High give them to the Most High. You know the saying, I'm gonna let go and let God. Actually, let go and let God. Let go and let the Most High do what He's gonna do, and it's gonna work out. Because these very same people were at another time asking somebody else, what shall we do? and then they repented. So give them something to think about instead of them seeing your frustration because you're trying to deal with them. A lot of times we show that to them. We'll show people our frustration. You don't need to show your frustration. You irritated. You don't need to do that. So without going on and on, do we really get the gist of it? All right. So let's lose all of that and let's go back to Matthew. We was in Matthew 5. Matthew 5:44, but I say unto you, love your enemies. We're learning how to love our enemies. All right, bless them that curse you. We're learning how to bless somebody that curses us. Do good to them that hate you. Somebody that hates you, they doing something wrong, and you're in the position to where, okay, now it's like, I got to do something right. I'm going to do good. Right? I'm going to do good. Give me an example. Somebody hates you and they're going to do something bad and it's directed towards you. But now you are in the midst to where you got to do something. You're like, okay, I'm going to do something. I'm going to do something good. And it's going to set a difference. I'll give you an example. I'm gonna use this right here. This is the only thing I can think of. Over here it's like parking wars. You see what I'm thinking? Yeah. It's like parking wars. So they hate me, and they hate us. Now y'all, they pointing it out on y'all. They hate us, and so they hate us to the point to where they will take up our parking. The little houses that we own on this street. They'll take that up because they hate us. And so to do good, instead of retaliating, we'll do good and I'll say, don't park in front of nobody's house. Somebody in the owning house, don't park in front of their house. But that's not what they do to us. You understand? And so they'll know, okay, these people, they won't park in front of our house. We'll walk a block away. I'll park down there and walk over here, park around there and park here and walk around to get here, but do not park in front of anybody's house. That's the example. That's the only thing I can think of. But they do the exact same. They do the opposite. They'll park in front of our stuff, and they don't care. They'll leave broken cars that don't work. They don't care if it's there for a year. They flat out don't. And they doing all of those things intentionally on purpose. The man up the street, I've asked this man several times. I went up there weeks ago, asked this man, him and his mom, I said, hey, can you please, I said, these people, they pay rent here. They want to park in front of their house. Can you please just move your car? Let them, park. They're complaining to me things, and the only thing I can do is I'm asking you, like, oh no problem. I looked out for them, this and that. I'm like, okay, well, look out enough to allow them to park. The broken up car still there. And he drove it there. He can drive it away. He just, because of the hatred that he has, he'll just let it sit there. But I would not render the same evil and put nothing in front of nobody else's house because that's what I'm getting done. I'll turn around and pray to the Most High and give it into his hands. And it's definitely a patient teacher. So you might have a different story, you might have a different example, but that's the one I can think of. So what does it say again? It says, where is it at? 45. No, I want the exact same one. Do good to them. Do good to them that hate you. Right. So that's how you do, by not doing the hateful things that they do to you. Is everybody clear? You sure? Somebody doing something hateful to you? Somebody doing something hateful to you? That's not what you do to them. Somebody treats you bad. That's not how you treat them. Who don't understand that? Somebody mistreats you, they treat you bad. They flat out Andre. How you say Henri? Henri. You an Henri. You wrong. I mean, it makes your eyes red. You so angry. It's like they petty. They so effed up, right? Stupid make you want to call them a mother F, right? But, and then you're going to turn around and do the right thing. Listen, the scriptures tell you to turn around and do the right thing. And now here it is, they doing the wrong thing. You know what I mean? How long I've been doing the right thing to people that do the wrong thing? A long time. What is it?
I remember a few years ago, you had tenants that was living in your house, and you told me that they hadn't paid rent for about almost like 8 months to a year, and you've been patient with them. So, and you telling me like, yo, if I wanted to, I could just kick them out. You was like, I'm right to do so. This, and that. Like, I could straight just kick them out, have them on the streets today when I go to court. So I'm going to court with you. I just know you finna drop the hammer. I'm like, dang, they owe this man heck of money. So we get to court, the judge in your favor. The judge say, all right, sir. At this point, you've been waiting long enough. What do you want to do? Whatever you say, that's what's going to happen right now. And then I look at you, and you said, I just want them gone. I'm not going to ask them for no extra money. They don't even got to pay me back. All they got to do is leave. I'm like, what? And I'm like, you don't want none of that money? He was like, Judge, as long as they can leave, I'm fine with that. I was blown away.
Yeah, everything ain't about money. A lot of people, I mean, I'm in the business, landlord and trying to make money, and you think that, and I'm about money. I'm not about money. I'm about doing the right thing, the path of least resistance. If you don't do right, I do want you to just go. And so, yeah, those people just, because they're going to hurt the worst, because now they don't have a place to stay.
And also, they would have a lot of debt on you, and they couldn't pay before.
Yeah. So, then I knew the Most High will provide. So if you do the right thing, the Most High is going to always provide. The Most High is going to take care of you. You're going to be all right. So, yeah, that was a situation to where, I showed mercy. It's like, just leave, man. As fast as you can, give me my building back. Get out. Let that little money that you got, and it's going to be gone like that. It's going to be gone like that. It was like, oh, yeah, they was willing to pay. I was like, no, you just keep it. Just leave. Please leave. Because I already know I'm going to get my building back, and you don't have a place to stay. And the building is going to survive a lot longer than that money that you covered it after. You didn't deal right. So I'm going to sever this. And I already know that you're not going to find somebody else like me. If you got a commandment-keeping person that's patient with you, that's dealing with you, what did you get out there in the world? Nah, they don't deal like that in the world. They're going to throw your ass out. Soon as you don't pay and soon as you don't have it, they're going to throw you out. And they're going to run it up. They're going to charge you. They're going to hit you with everything. So you'll see. Excuse my language. Go ahead.
I know somebody who was a landlord. You got 3 days. You don't pay him about 3 days. He ain't even until you come straight to the court. And then you're going to find out what your eviction is. When you pay, you got to go.
See? Yeah. Yeah. I used to be like that. If you didn't pay if you like when the first come, shut up. It was the doggy dog world out there, man. But dealing with people in the truth and dealing with people in the world is totally different. So people dealing in the world, they was just wrong, man. They would duck and dodge when it's time to pay the rent. I was like, so it's due on the 1st, it's late after the 3rd. If you didn't have it, Trust and believe. I'm gonna stay out there. I will be staying out there. They hated that blue truck. they hate the truck. They like, here he comes. It's like after 7, 8 o'clock. Shouldn't he have been home by now? That's sucker. I'm catching you when you at home. I'm right up. Yo, I need that. Yo, I need that. You know. And hey, they didn't have my money. It's like, all right. On Monday morning, I was just going down there. I got so many evictions on the book, man. I was a shrewd evictor. So Jazz, before she moved out here, her mom was like, see, I knew someone was up here. He stay in court. I said, yeah, I stay in court putting people out. I say those are all evictions. Those are criminal cases against me. That's me putting people out, man. But people in the truth, they're a lot different. I understand our circumstances. We fall on like what we was reading earlier. You know what I'm saying? We fall on different conditions and stuff like that. You'll be a victim of a circumstance, brother, his job, or sister, you lost your job, so I don't just go and be like, yo, you don't got it, you got to go. I give you an opportunity, get yourself together. You know what you got to do. So it's different, with the commandment keepers, we can do the right thing. But our people out there, we far from righteous. And righteous is doing the right thing. Mm-hmm. So you fall into the hands of people that's out there, you better not never lose your job. Because if you lose your job, they're going to run it up on you. You're going to have to pay for their attorney. You're going to have to pay for court costs. You're going to have to pay for all of that. And even if they get you out, you still have to pay the remaining of the lease. It's shrewd out there. That's the last thing you want. If you can escape that world right there, shit, nobody don't. That's like going to jail in Mexico. What? Oh, nobody want to go to jail in Mexico. All right. So Matthew 5 and the last part of 44, pray for them which despitefully use you. So despite they know what's right, but yet they take advantage of a situation and the person is used you. Most High says pray instead of being angry and rendering evil for evil. Pray for them, and people persecute you. Persecution, that's like maybe they have a position of power over you and they persecute you. The people of power in our lives over us, it's not supposed to be in this truth, it's at work. So people persecuting you, pray for them. That they come into the knowledge and to the understanding. Do what they say. Why? Because your job. You have a job. And you're there for a wager. Your prayer will have the Most High to have them to examine themselves and what they're doing. Your prayer will have the Most High to examine themselves on what they're doing towards you. Bear with me. 1 Kings 8. All right, so 1 Kings chapter 8. And start at verse 38.
This is 1 Kings chapter 8 and 38. What prayer and supplication soever be made by any man, or by all thy people Israel, which shall know every man the plague of his own heart, and spread forth his hands toward this house, then hear thou in heaven thy dwelling place, and forgive and do.
Right, because we would perceive that the situations that we're having, let's see, the persecutions are coming from the Most High. The Most High allowing the persecutions to coming from us. So hear thou from heaven in thy dwelling place and forgive. Go ahead.
And do, and give to every man according to his ways.
Right, and give according to his ways. So if we're being persecuted, and we would ask the Most High, like, if our ways are right, we'll ask the Most High to give us according to our ways. Like, remember us, you know. And if we're being ill-spirited, acting in an unclean fashion, then we would change, because then we would know that the reason why these things are happening, they're happening because we're misbehaving. All right, go ahead.
Whose heart thou knowest, for thou, even thou only, knowest the hearts of all the children of men.
All right, we'll go to the book of Nehemiah, chapter 1. Nehemiah 1. And verse 5.
This is Nehemiah chapter 1 and 5. And I beseech thee, O Lord God of heaven, the great and terrible God, that keepeth covenant and mercy for them that love him and observe his commandments. Let thine ear now be attentive and thine eyes open, that thou mayest hear the prayer of thy servant, which I pray before thee now, day and night.
So it sounds like what Solomon was saying. Solomon's saying it at first in Kings. Now Nehemiah is saying it. It says, I pray thee now day and night for the children of thy servants. Have you got that point yet? Okay, go ahead.
For the children of Israel, thy servants, and confess the sins of the children of Israel, which have sinned against thee, both I and my father's house have sinned. We have dealt very corruptly against thee, and have not kept the commandments.
So when people mistreat us, and they execute authority over us, and they be abrasive like that, I think naturally, is that just naturally, we kind of will examine ourselves, like, what have I done for somebody to mistreat us this way? And, you know, yeah, we'll kind of reflect, like, okay, what have I done? So if we've done very corruptly against the Most High and have not kept the commandments, then that's what you've done. And that's the reason why because the scriptures say when a man ways please him, he does what?
Make his enemies be at peace.
He make even his enemies to be at peace with him. So and let's find that for me. So we're gonna stay where we at while he find. Everybody stay where you at. He'll gonna find it. So silently find it. Go ahead, finish where you at. Wherever you at. Yes.
Nor the statutes.
Nor the statutes. So we didn't keep the commandments. You didn't keep statutes. Go ahead.
Nor the judgment.
Nor the last say so. Nor the judgment. Go ahead.
Which thou commandest thy servant Moses.
Which the Most High commanded us. All right. So you find it? What you was doing?
I didn't know you was talking to me. I'm sorry, but it's Proverbs 16 and verse 9, I believe, or 7. So, yeah, Proverbs 16 and 7.
Okay, Proverbs 16 and 7. All right. So Proverbs 16 and 7, when a man's ways please the Lord, he make his persecutions go away. So you have work and they giving you hell. Yeah. So even the Most High, the Most High is in the spirit world, and he's causing problems for you. Yeah, the first time when somebody's like, "Oh, they doing this to me and they doing that to me," like, well, what are you doing that word? It makes the Most High stir these people up to bring some discomfort to you. Because if you're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing at work, positive attitude, you're on time, you're not slothful, you're not lazy, you're being productive, you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing, it's like a blessing to have you a part of this team. You are an asset. They like love you. You see? You got to be like this. Go to the book of Daniel. Daniel 1. Daniel 1 and verse 3.
The book of Daniel, chapter 1 and 3. And the king spake unto Ashpenaz, the master of his eunuchs, that he should bring certain of the children of Israel, and of the king's seed, and of the princes, children in whom was no blemish.
Right, children in whom were no blemish. All right, blemishes. Let's make them both mental and physical. So don't be at work looking crazy, right? Clothes wrinkled. You look like you all bugged out from drugs, drunk, high. People come to work, smell like alcohol. Don't have no faults. No faults. Physical or even here. We tell brothers, yo, brother, make sure that you are the part when you're out there, because you're an ambassador of Christ, you representing Christ. And when you asking somebody and you telling somebody about Christ, you're not trying to look like you're homeless, or you down on your luck talking about the end is near. I'm like, bruh. Oh, the end is near. It's like, this guy is crazy, right? So you don't want to be like that. So children in whom there's no blemish, go ahead.
But well favored.
But people like. See that? Right there, well favored. People like. So in order to be well favored, you got to have a likable attitude, a good spirit. He that will have friends must show himself how? Friendly. How you don't show yourself friendly when you talking about, oh, don't nobody talk to me? You don't talk to nobody. You ain't showed yourself friendly. There's a lot of crazy people in the world. You straight up. How you looking for a friend and you ain't even trying to make a friend? Hey, how you doing today? What's that you brought? You brought a tuna salad? And boy, I ain't never had that. Who made that? You made it? You ain't even trying to make yourself friendly. What is that? Is that some banana pudding? You got enough for two? You present yourself friendly. You ain't doing nothing. They don't like me around here. You murmuring, gossiping. I don't like this, y'all. Y'all do that in this world, man. What is wrong? Present yourself friendly to get a friend. Be friendly. Well favored. Oh, I like that brother right there. He's cool. The time of being a mean sister, a mean man, that's all. We good spirits. We good spirited. Well favored, likable. People like you. People like you. Okay? The only time somebody can be well favored is if they have hidden agendas. And if you feel talking too much, it's gonna let them skeletons out. You open up, boom, 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 boom. You have said something, and now, well, this conversation person, they questioning you now. You feel interrogated. You like, I ain't mean to be talking to you. You asked where I been. Yeah, you asked where I been. You asked what I did last night. See, that'll never work. Well favored. So we're supposed to be well favored. Go ahead.
And skillful in all wisdom.
And skillful in all experience. So know your jobs, right? When you're at these jobs, be quick learners. Learn your job. Don't let these people use your eyes, use your ears, use common sense. Don't be there daydreaming, thinking about something else while you're getting taught. Don't go to work hungry because you're not thinking about what they teaching you. What you thinking about? You waiting for lunchtime. And when lunchtime comes, after you eat, you ready to go home. You spent the whole day and didn't learn nothing. And that was a crucial day because the following day, they expected you to know what they showed you the prior day. It'd be like that. So you got to be skillful in all knowledge. Go ahead. Or wisdom. Go ahead.
And cunning in knowledge.
And cunning in knowledge. Go ahead.
And understanding science. And such as had ability in them to stand in the king's palace, and whom they might teach the learning of the tongue of the Chaldeans.
Right. So Chaldeans were Edomites, and we were Hebrews, and so they were trying to teach us the Greek. All right. But persecutions, your persecutions gonna come if you out of order, or the Most High and the Most High send these persecutions on you. So, how do you get out of these persecutions? You get out of these persecutions by focusing back on what you're supposed to be doing, and then letting the Most High remove these persecutions from your life. So people that's not applying the scriptures, they're not gonna know this. They just gonna blame the bitch at work, or they gonna call them a bastard or a mother effer at work, and they just gonna always be railing on people at work and telling them I hate this job. The next thing you know, they're gonna hate the job so much that they're gonna quit. They're not gonna harm the company because there's so many other people that was looking for that one job and waiting for you to be simple enough to quit it. And they're gonna fulfill that position, and then you're gonna go some weeks without pay until you get somebody else, until you find you another job. And when you find another job, if you take the same attitude to the next job, the same result gonna end up happening. Because they can only ignore it so many times. You being late, you not being friendly, you being here it says well favored and skillful and had ability. When they see that you don't have the ability, that you can't keep up with the pace, that you're not remembering the stuff that they teaching you, that you doing all this, that you doing you, the same thing gonna happen. They're gonna start persecuting you. First thing they're gonna do is start saying stuff about you, saying stuff to you. They're gonna start saying stuff to you. I don't mean about you. They're gonna start saying things to you. And that's gonna start the persecution right there, because you're not gonna like what they're saying to you. You're not gonna like what I'm trying to say this. They're gonna like the stuff that they're saying. You're not gonna like the fact that they're not accepting what you're doing. Think about this. There's a way that you think is hard work, and there's a way that they think is hard work. What do you think they want? What you think or what they think? What they think. And if you're not bringing in what they think, then you're going to be persecuted. They're going to say stuff to you. And because that's the only thing that they can do is say something to you, then they're going to say something until they let you go. And they'll let you go on a day to when you doing you. You got that blemish? Oh, I'm late. Oh, shoot, I don't feel good today. Like, okay, well, you know you was on probation anyway, right? So they don't lock you in. That's why those probations be so long, because they want to see if you have a pattern of self-destruction. So they make a probation 90 days, just 3 months. Because anytime somebody can be faithful and they're gonna be, have a habit of showing up on time all of that time, they most likely gonna work out. But if you off and you late, say, oh, okay, this is a habit for Mr. Johnson. So many times in a probationary time period, we gotta let you go. You was on probation. We was trying to see if you had a habit of not being on time and showing up and stuff like that. All right. So when you find yourself being persecuted, send up prayers. The prosecuting attorney he'll let the charges go when you. I'm talking about the Most High. He'll let the charges go when you change. That you may be the children of your Father which is in heaven. So this is Matthew 5:45. So very quickly, let's run through the precepts on exhorting the faith. Now that we got those questions out of the way, let's go to the book of Acts, chapter 14. Okay. So hold that and go to First Maccabees 13. So we have got to understand that the reason why we're told to keep the commandments is so that it can always be well with us, that it can always be well with us, and no other way but well. So First Maccabees, and here's an example. First Maccabees 13:1. Now when Simon heard that Tryphon had gathered together a great host to invade the land of Judea and to destroy, he saw that the people was in great trembling and fear, and he went up to Jerusalem and gathered the people together. So now Simon Maccabee, the son of Mattathias and the brother of Judas, he got all the people together and gave them exhortation. So whenever we supposed to do something, we have to do something, we have to be told this is what we should do. The scriptures say without a vision, what happens?
People perish.
The people perish. There's no more freelancing and free balling and just walking around, getting knocked down, and having the casualties and circumstances that's in the world fall upon us. So he gave them the exhortation, saying, Ye yourselves know what great things I and my brethren and my father's house have done for the laws and the sanctuary. So what did they do for the laws? They kept them. They were example of them. What they do for the sanctuary? The sanctuary were the people. What did they do? They stuck their neck out. They were examples. They protected them. They were all about the welfare and the well-being of the sanctuary. So all of our exhortations, it's supposed to be, do we really care one for another? Do we really care about the welfare of the sanctuary? We should. Because that's how they were. And it says, in the battles also, and the troubles which we have seen, by reason whereof all my brethren are slain for Israel's sake, and I am left alone. So Simon, his whole family was committed to the sanctuary. His whole family. And he got that from his father. And whatever children they had, whatever wives they had, they were all committed unto the sanctuary. That's how we to be. That's the way of life. The Most High is reviving our spirit and bringing us together into the truth so that we can see the bigger picture. That our lives are bigger and greater together. You got one finger. I put my hand up. One finger can do nothing by itself. But together, it creates a mighty blow. It creates a fist that can deliver a mighty blow. Try to hit somebody with your finger, see don't you destroy that finger. But put it together with that group. Pow. It's strong, and none of them should be hurting because they are all supported one with another. And that's how your family is supposed to be. But you got to be, as a man, you got to see that. You got to, and though, we're willing to do that, we can't be willing to do that according to the world. We got to be willing to do it according to the precepts, the laws, the statutes, the commandments, and the judgments. So that's how these guys were. They didn't just agree to be in the sanctuary, agree to fight for the sanctuary. Remember what happened to the people after they didn't listen to Moses? And when they saw the land, after they got corrected, they say, well, we'll go up now. What happened? No, the Most High said, he said, don't go, the Lord is not with you. Right, it's too late. Don't go, the Most High is not with you. So in other words, we can't agree, I'm going to do it some other way. No, you got to do it with the scriptures. You got to have the scriptures into your life. And you got to make the major sacrifice that it takes to be a part of the sanctuary. So there's more though. It says, verse 5 now. Now therefore, be it far from me that I should spare my own life in any time of trouble. So for him to spare his life would be for him to leave the sanctuary and go do what he would want to do. Oh, I'm just gonna go over here and sell me and my woman and our children. Can't do that. What about the Israelites that needed help? He had been turning his back on them, and what would happen? The people would come in and just destroy him. All right. Now let's see. For I am no better than my brethren. Why did he say that I'm no better than my brethren? They did the same. What you mean?
They did it for the sanctuary people.
I'm sorry. Repeat it again.
They laid down their life for the sanctuary people.
Okay, right. They laid down their life for the people. So if they had to do it, he got to do it. That's how we got to look at it. We have to do it. And so this reminds me of something, a huge word that clicked in their mindset. And it goes the same thing with sisters. You know, we can't be individualites. We have to be Israelites. And Israelites have to do it. Because we're no better than our brethren. You're no better than your sisters, the ones that are making the commitment, the ones that are making the sacrifice, that are being a complete, wholehearted sacrifice. You got to be like, I got to do it. Go to Corinthians 9. This is a big word in there. 1 Corinthians chapter 9. First Corinthians 9 and 16, and we're all going to read this together, and let's see what word in here is our huge word. The book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 9, and on verse 16 on 3, 1, 2, and 3.
For though I preach the gospel, I have nothing to glory of, for necessity is laid upon me. Yet woe is unto me if I preach not the gospel.
What's the huge word in there?
Necessity.
Necessity. Necessity. So if it's a necessity, why have we given ourselves a choice? Why have we given ourselves a choice? There ain't no choice. Somebody name a necessity in their life. Water. Same thing I thought about, water. Oh man, water. Anybody else? A necessity. You said clothing? Clothing, okay.
House.
House, food, one more. A necessity. You can't get it's a necessity. Money? All right. What do you say?
Earth.
Like air conditioning?
Just earth.
So this is what one of the most, whatever you said, listen, whatever you said, you don't get to change it. Listen up. Whatever you said, you don't get to change it. But if that's the necessity, that's the only item that you get in life. That's the last thing that you have. That's like the sole possession, and that's what you walk with. We just, in our imagination, that necessity. So it seems like the only person that will survive the longest is the person that said water. They'll survive the longest. Because you're going to get faint with the clothes, you're going to get faint with the money, right? You're going to be tired. What else was there? House, oxygen. You're going to get faint with the oxygen. So by it being a necessity, you can't live without it. So now we need to prioritize, and we have to see that being in this truth and exhorting our nation is a necessity that our people cannot live without. And it's such a huge thing that we got to be the people to do it. That's how you got to look at it. Like, I got to be the person to do it. But you got to learn to do it, and you got to learn to do it correctly. And in order to do it right and do it correctly, there's some things that you got to get right with yourself. And nobody is jamming you up. You know, nobody beating you up, nobody judging you, but you got to know that, okay, I got to get it done. Let me get it done so that I can win this Christ. I can be pleasing in the sight of the Most High. I'm working out my salvation because our salvation is our place in the kingdom. Our salvation is our place in the kingdom. The resurrection from the dead. When we die, we're good. We're waiting for the Most High to finish the times of the Gentiles and bring back the Israelites. And that will happen. All right? So, what's that? Corinthians 9 and now verse 17. Read that.
For if I do this thing willingly, I have a reward.
Right. If I preach the gospel, I got a reward. Before preaching the gospel, so let's just say he's talking about preaching the gospel willingly. What's got to happen before we even preach the gospel?
Read your own disobedience.
That's right. Okay, how was you going to say it? Why?
Same.
Right. So go to 2 Corinthians 10. And keep in mind, if I do this thing willingly. All right. So 2 Corinthians 10, and I'll read it. I'm going to start at verse 1. Stay with me. For I, Paul, myself, beseech you. So the beseech means he's actually pleading and begging. So Paul must love his people, right? All right. By the meekness and gentleness of Christ, who in presence and base among you. So he's saying when he's with them, around them, he's not exalted. He's base, easy to get along with, easy to talk to. But being absent and bold towards you, meaning the words that he's saying is very adamant and very strong. Okay? That's what the boldness is. But I beseech you that I may not be bold when I am present with that confidence, wherewith I think to be bold against some. In other words, correcting them sharply, which think of us as if we walked according to the flesh. So some people, they think or feel that you walk according to the flesh. Walking according to the flesh is walking in sin. You don't want people looking at you like you walking in sin. You don't want people to get used to seeing you walking in sin. The scriptures tell you, go not in the way wherein thou mayest fall. And what? Stumble not amongst the stones. How you a commandment keeper, but you're in the midst of sin, and that in the midst of unbelievers. You're making it hard. The work that brothers out here faithfully doing, you're destroying it. Because if you're an example of what sin is, you're telling people I can be an Israelite in sin. You're making us look like a fool. Because we're out there speaking and teaching, saying, yo, brothers, you got to keep the commandments. You got to be like this. You got to be like that. But the product of what we're saying is, if that's you and you're in the midst of sin, they never believe what we're saying because they think that everybody's going to be like that. Like everybody thinks that all Israelites are like the face of Israel that's out there railing on people and cussing them out.
Right.
They think that that all Israelites are like that, right?
Right.
When all Israelites are not like that, right?
Right.
So if they see you in the midst of sin and you sinning with them, they'll think that the rest of the Israelites walk like that. And you're gonna have a real healthy price, a real big price to pay, and it's gonna be with your life. You gotta change. You can't do that. So they think of you as we're walking in the flesh. For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. So he's telling us we're not supposed to be like that. You're not supposed to be at the club doing drugs, chasing honeys chasing, what do you call the guys?
Tenders.
Who? Tenders?
They call them tenders.
Tenders. The honeys chasing the tenders. Honeys don't chase tenders. Don't chase tenders. You know, the girls chasing the guys. Nah. Listen, and we were a sharp spear. The Most High wants us to be the tip. That's right. He wants you to be tip. And slice you right, and he wants you to be super sharp. And he's giving you all the means to do so. It starts with learning. It starts with you learning to sacrifice so that the Most High can bless you. All right. So we're not supposed to be at war with the flesh, fighting with the flesh, having issues and problems with our flesh, in the flesh.
Right.
For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. The things that we use to fight with, it's not carnal. It's nothing physical, but mighty through God, meaning spiritual, to the pulling down of a stronghold. You know what a stronghold is? He's getting this from the acts of war. Imagine us all being in the field, and we come to a city, or we come to a town, and we come to a place, and they built up walls. People know how to do that. Just like businesses know how to put up fencing.
Right.
Trust and believe. They can put up barricades, tall walls, erect them up. And in order to get in there, to defeat those people, you have to tear the wall down. So we got to learn how to tear things down that's trying to protect itself where? In our mind. That's right, brother. In our mind. This sin is in our mind trying to justify itself. You got to know how to tear that down the same way you're going to have to figure out how to tear down this wall and get in there without getting killed, to destroy the enemy that has went behind these walls. Why you need to get in there and destroy the enemy that went behind the walls? Because when they come out, they come and they terrorize you. They come and destroy you, and then they go back behind the walls. So now you got to take the fight to them. You got to get behind those walls. You got to blow that wall up. You got to pull that wall down. You got to do something to get that wall down so you can get in there. Because if you think that you're just going to go back and you're just going to relax and you're going to take it easy, they're going to come out and kill you and go back behind the wall. So while you got the food and you got the strength and you got the manpower, you got to tear that wall down. That's how spirits are with us. But you got to use the spiritual things to tear that mentality down that has secluded itself behind a defense. Oh, you feel good. This makes you feel good. This got your back. What else? Maybe anger or hatred towards somebody. All of those things will protect sin. So you got to be smart enough to tear that down. That's what this is talking about. Don't let no wrong stay in you and stay in your mind, and you leave it there, making you think it's right, when the whole time you get in trouble with the Most High for the stuff that you're doing wrong. All right? So now, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalted itself against the knowledge of God. So you got to be able to cast down all your thoughts, right? That's what the imagination is. You think it's going to go well. You think it's going to be like this. You think it's going to be like that. Your mind will formulate what it is casting, is forecasting what life is going to be like for you. Your mind is playing you for a fool. You're supposed to have the ability to say, nah, even though it's negative to the mind. It's negative to your desire, because your mind is giving you your heart's what?
Desire.
That's right, brother. Your mind is feeding your heart's desire to you. You're supposed to know it ain't gonna work out like that, because the scriptures say so, and your behavior say so. Your behavior is showing that it's off, but you're gonna try and make it work. If you don't have the ability to cast that down, you're gonna learn the hard way, and you're gonna have to deal with the bed that you made. You're gonna have to reap what you sow. You're gonna have to drink of the cup that you poured. All right. So, because it exalted itself against the knowledge of the Most High. The knowledge of the Most High said this, your mind told you that. And remember, your mind fed you your heart's desire. And then it says, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. So what did Christ say? So now you got to have the ability to bring yourself into captivity, your mindset. I'm going to obey what Christ is saying that I must do, despite my desire, despite what I want, despite what I think, despite how I feel. Because what I think and how I feel and what I want, according to the knowledge of Christ, is saying it won't end well. So I'm going to take this loss and I'm going to count it done. As a matter of fact, I'm going to get help. I'm going to get help. So I'm going to bring myself into the what? I'm going to bring myself into the obedience of Christ. We got to learn how to do that, right? And having in a readiness to avenge all obedience. So listen to all this stuff we're saying, because it's a point. I'm going through this. And having a readiness. So now we're ready. It's an energy that we have to avenge all disobedience. Now we're going to go out there. You see brothers are current, the speaker current, the mic, I'm going out the scriptures. I got the flyers. Yo, brother, you know the truth with the Israelites. Come here, brother, let me give you a flyer. You understand what they're saying, man? We got to repent of what? Sin. We got to do this. We got to do that. Whatever brothers out there saying, right? When our obedience is fulfilled. So now, keep the same energy and go back to 1 Corinthians 9. 1 Corinthians 9 and verse 17. Read that first part.
1 Corinthians 9 and 17.
And wait for them all to get it. Wait for every last one of us to get this. 1 Corinthians 9 and verse 17.
First Corinthians 9 and 17. For if I do this thing willingly.
What is that?
For if I do this thing willingly.
So what is it talking about? If I do this thing willingly, in its natural state, what is it talking about? Preaching the gospel, right? Before you can preach the gospel willingly, what else do you have to do willingly? That's right. 2 Corinthians 10. You got to do that how? Willingly. Willingly. Everybody want to preach the gospel willingly, but do you want to, what is that? Shorten this up. Bring yourself into captivity and the thought of obedience? Willingly. Because a lot of times we find ourselves wrestling and tussling with one another to tear down a wall. Every high thing. We find ourselves trying to deal with each other and make one another to do this. Through much counsel, through throwing words at you, through precepts, through this. You do this, you got to do that willingly.
Right.
If you do that willingly, you get a reward. Who will understand that? This is the work. This can't nobody do for you. This a spirit can't nobody give to you. This a walk can't nobody walk for you. This has got to be in you. You got to want this. Can't nobody make you want this. You got to willingly do this. You got to have a willing spirit to desire this. And if you desire this, then you desire good work. Because the first thing that you did was you saved yourself from the wrath that was going to come from all the people and the children. Can you get that water for me? All the children of disobedience, you did the complete opposite. You were obedient. You signed up. Yeah, that's right. You signed up. Wake them up. Do everybody understand? You got to sign up for this, for the willing class. And that class ain't here. That class is spiritual. But you have to put off. Any questions? It should be in the refrigerator. It's that coconut water. All right, so 2 Corinthians 9. Go back to 2 Corinthians 9. In verse 17. Thank you.
2 Corinthians 9:17.
1 Corinthians 9:17. Forgive me. I'm sorry, y'all.
1 Corinthians 9 and verse 17.
But
For if I do this thing willingly, I have a reward.
right, if you do it, if you have that willing spirit, you get a reward. Go ahead.
But if against my will,
Right. So if a person is doing something against their will, how do they feel?
Greed.
They feel how?
Greed.
They feel grieved. Let's see. Right now, Jazz, I want you to tell them about your dream you had. Make sure you talk up.
Okay. So it was Thursday night, I had a dream. It was, I don't know where we were, but it was like a lot of people everywhere just doing their own thing. And I happened to go into this room, and it was Judah, the progenitor of like us today. And it's like nobody cared, I guess, I don't know. But I was so stunned that it was like him teaching. He was going over 1 Corinthians 13. And while he was teaching, I'm just excited that he was even just talking about it. And he said that he was going over the scripture line by line, and to give me an example to where I could see, he was like you guys, how you guys be at the flyer drive? He said you could be at the flyer drive all day, but if you don't have charity, it means nothing. And he just kept going to shorten it up.
Okay. So when she told me about that dream, I said, okay, so you mean to tell me that you spoke to Jacob? I mean, not Jacob, Judah. So she said she spoke to Judah, the progenitor. I say, yeah. So, that's like, so okay. And and he mentioned the flyer drive. So it didn't displease. So I like, okay, the most I knew he spoke to you and he used that as an example. So he didn't displease, he didn't reject it because he knows the cause. But at the same time, he used it as an example to say that if you don't have charity, for example, he used the fly drive and said, if you don't have charity, then you're doing it for nothing. So if we have a spirit, and we have been talking about that, because it's a lot of work. If you're doing it grudgingly and it's not a willing spirit, and brothers will feel it's I'm wore out, I'm beat up, it's too much. He said it's unprofitable. We don't want the drive to be. I'm proud of. I never spoke to her about none of these things. When you read Acts, the second chapter says your sons and daughters shall dream dreams. So I never spoke to her about how anybody might have been feeling. She brought it to me and said, this is the dream that I had. And I spoke to Judah. He said, if y'all doing that and y'all doing it against your will, that's not charitable. And it profits you nothing. I said, okay, I know what this is about. So that's just food for thought. We don't pick and choose on who the most high gonna speak to, because if it was from a brother, then you would rightly receive it. But it's from somebody who don't have a dog in the fight and no reason to have an input on it because they're not, they don't feel no type of way. It's times when she's wanted to volunteer and I said, no, because you're the only woman, stay back. So I'm just glad that there was nothing negative that was said about it other than like it was being rejected by the Most High, because I don't think that, because I understand it is motivated by the Most High and I understand the reason of it. It's publicity. It's a stepping stone, you know, for choices of better words, is data that's being collected that needs to help the move that we need to move forward, that you guys, don't see and don't understand. I spoke to Miss Tina about it, not about the dream. She knew nothing about the dream. But that how important it is, the drive is. And she understands how, important it is. I had to speak to the Wilder to try and, to explain and expound more to even him so he can get the gist of, the importance of it. And it's, like I said, it's a lot of behind the scene motions that was developing that this thing is a foundation for the young men, that the Most High is using to do this. That's something that's the Most High's got everybody doing. And so um, you definitely could, I You know how the saying is, an idle mind is the devil's workshop.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with that time, you could be doing anything idle, the wrong thing. But instead, for this time in this season, the Most High has put you to work and got you helping Him and got you doing, you know. So we're not to be grieved about it or feel no type of way about it, because if we're doing it and it's against our will, the scriptures say we don't really have a reward. What is your reward then if you do it against your will, but a dispensation? That means a release. And so if you get a release of it, then how do you get, if you get paid from a job, I mean, if you get fired from a job, they don't pay you because you got fired. You still expect the payment. A lot of us, you know, we want to do the work that we want to do when we need to do the work that the Most High wants us to do. And that's the difference. We said that when it came to an employer earlier. It's called a sacrifice. And although you might think that it's of me, it's not. The scripture said man's going is of the Lord. So verse 18, what is my reward then? Verily that when I have preached the gospel, or verse 17, but if against my will a dispensation of the gospel is committed unto me, what is my reward then? So if the Most High relieve us of it, because we don't want to do what He wants us to do, but we want to do what we want to do, what is our reward then? A dispensation of the gospel is committed unto me. That means a release of responsibility and obligation. What is my reward then? Verily, that when I preach the gospel, I may make the gospel of Christ without charge. That, because right now, if we're charging Christ, meaning we feel that the Most High through Christ Yahweh Shai owes us a reward. He is not unrighteous to forget our labor of love. But if we're preaching it without charge, then there's no reward. He don't owe us nothing. You're just doing it. That I abuse not my power. So we don't want to put ourselves in that type of position. All right, so let's see. Did we finish First Maccabees? First Maccabees 13. First Maccabees 13 and verse 6.
This is First Maccabees 13 and 6. Doubtless I will avenge my nation and the sanctuary and our wives and our children.
Right. So we're the only ones that has realized that we're still in captivity. Do y'all not know that our people don't even realize we're still in slavery? Think about it. Your mothers, your brothers, your cousins, your aunties, your uncles, the neighbors, they don't realize they're still in captivity. Oh, that happened back then. Just leave that alone. Go to work and buy your car. And it's still in captivity. So here it says we should avenge. Doubtless, he said, I will avenge my nation and the sanctuary. You don't avenge your nation with rap music, with clothes. I'm going to be the finest dude dressing on this side of town. right? Or I'm gonna get the game and go on with it. I got 3 companies. No, brother, that's not how you avenge your nation. How do you avenge your nation? You avenge your nation by teaching them. All right, with me. Yeah, you would teach against everything that's happening. You would bring to awareness. You would enlighten their eyes. Tell them to return unto the Most High. You teach repentance. That's what Christ did. Let's find a precept. I don't want to go without that. I'll start with Isaiah 30. You brothers can grab whatever you want. Isaiah chapter 30. And verse 20.
This is Isaiah chapter 30 and verse 20. And though the Lord give you the bread of adversity and the water of affliction, yet shall not thy teachers be removed into a corner any more, but thine eyes shall see thy teachers, and thine ears shall hear a word behind thee, saying, This is the way, walk ye in it. When you turn to the right hand, and when you turn to the left.
Go ahead.
Ye shall defile also the covering of thy graven images of silver, and the ornament of thy molten images of gold.
Right. You defile meaning you're going to speak and talk about it. Destroy them. Go ahead.
Thou shalt cast them away as minstrel's cloth.
Right. The same way a minstrel cloth is destroyed. You should cast those things away. All right. Go ahead.
Thou shalt say unto it, Get thee hence. Then shall he give the rain of thy seed.
Then shall he give the rain of your seed. You planting these seeds. So you know that these things ain't right. Graven images, the breaking of the laws, stuff like that. So we're going to come out, we're going to speak against these things. All right? And tell our people. We're going to show them their transgressions, that they doing wrong, they going off. And that's not how you serve the Most High, whom they call God. Then shall he give the rain of thy seed. Go ahead.
That thou shalt sow the ground withal, and bread of the increase of the earth, and it shall be fat and plenteous. In that day shall thy cattle feed in large pastures. The oxen likewise and the young asses that ear the ground, that eat clean provender, which have been winnowed with the shovel and with the fan. And there shall be upon every high mountain and upon every high hill rivers and streams of waters in the day of the great slaughter, when the towers fall. Moreover, the light of the moon shall be as the light of the sun, and the light of the sun shall be sevenfold, as the light of 7 days, in the day that the Lord bindeth up the breach of his people, and healeth the stroke of their wound.
Exactly. So that's how you go to war, for your people. It might appear like the Most High is talking about feeding the sheep and feeding the cattle. The Most High is talking about dealing with his people, and he's using us to do all of those things. All right. So from there, let's go back to Acts 14. So Acts 14 and 20.
The book of Acts, chapter 14 and 20. Howbeit, as the disciples stood round about him, he rose up and came into the city, and the next day he departed with Barnabas to Derbe. And when they had preached the gospel to that city, and he taught many, they returned again to Lystra and to Iconium and Antioch, confirming the souls of the disciples.
So as they began to teach, they were counting the guys and say, hey, okay, these guys are faithful. Go ahead.
And exhorting them to continue in the faith.
And exhorting these guys to continue in the faith. So in order to exhort somebody to continue in the faith, you got to expound. You got to teach them. You got to say encouraging words. You got to enlighten them. So even the ones that they found following Christ and they was calling those guys disciples, these men were being exhorted. So at times, when you get pulled to the side, or at times we say certain things to you, we're telling you these things because we're trying to add unto your faith the virtue. You understand? And exhorting you, meaning encouraging you to continue in the faith. Go ahead.
And that we must through much tribulation enter into the kingdom of God.
That's right. What is the tribulation? The tribulation is our life that we have got to change. Because every time you take a step outside, every time you wake up, you're going to be faced with choices. You're going to be faced with options. And so you got to make sure that you make the right decision. Because if you make the wrong decision, that's not healthy for you. And when you enter into these tribulations, a tribulation is a mental thought process of uncertainty. That's the first place that tribulation before it begins to get physical. But you're supposed to already have your mind which way? Set it right. Because if you have your mind made up and set it right, then that tribulation, it doesn't exist. You cannot be tempted with sin. You're not allowing that sin to tempt you. All right. So we, through much tribulation, enter into the kingdom of the Most High. All right. So from there, let's go to 1 Timothy 6. So 1 Timothy 6 and verse 2.
This is 1 Timothy 6 and 2. And they that have believing masters.
1 Timothy 6, not 6 and 2, 6 and 1. Start at verse 1.
1 Timothy chapter 6 and 1. Let as many servants as are under the yoke count their own masters worthy of all honor.
Right. So it's referring to brothers that the disciples and those that have teachers. All right. Count them worthy of respect, honor, and everything. Go ahead.
That the name of God and his doctrine be not blasphemed.
Because when you don't respect and have honor for your teacher, you're not having respect and honor for what they taught. That's right. Do we understand that? So that's against the scriptures. Afterwards, we're going to talk about there's a situation at the assembly we want to do it today. About this precept. This ain't about them, but it just come to mind. We've lost somebody. All right. And so when you don't have honor for the master, then you don't have honor so the name of the doctrine of the Most High now is even spoken of because the masters are teaching the doctrine of the Most High. Okay. And so when we go through this process and I explain this to you, then you have to continue to apply the rest of the scriptures that goes with the situation. You don't honor a person and dishonor themselves. All right. Now verse 2.
And they that have believing masters.
So you know what a believing master is. This person's applying the scriptures. Go ahead.
Let them not despise them, because they are brethren.
Right, because they brethren. Go ahead.
But rather do them service, because they are faithful and beloved, partakers of the benefit.
Partakers of what benefit? The benefit of what Simon was saying he was doing. For albeit he would save his own life, he gave himself for the sanctuary, him and his family. He's not better than his brothers. So let me do the work. Let me help build Israel. That's the benefit right there, avenging our people. Because we are in a decayed state, the situation that we're in. All right. Wisdom of Solomon 14. Verse 16, start there.
The Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14 and 16. Thus, in process of time, an ungodly custom grown strong.
Hold on for a second. There's more I want to miss. Start 9.
Wisdom of Solomon 14 and 9. For the ungodly and his ungodliness are both alike, hateful unto God.
Right. For the ungodly and his ungodliness. So if somebody is wrong and they ungod, they not dealing with God, and all their ways are like hateful unto the Most High. So Can't say that the Most High just hates the sin, but he loves the sinner. That's not the scripture. For that which is made shall be punished. So anything that's formulated against the scriptures is to be punished together with him that made it. So these are the things that we are what? Avenging. This is why the Most High has woken us up and created a spiritual army to be his battle axe. First thing we got to do is we got to redeem our people. But the first thing we got to do is we got to willingly get ourselves together, and then the Most High will dwell in us freely. Go ahead.
Therefore, even upon the idols of the Gentiles,
Even upon the idols of the Gentiles, whether it's wood and stone, or whether it's American Idol, or whether it's a superstar in singing, a superstar in rap, a superstar in sports, even if some whorish, glamorous idol, supermodel, male, female, some famous actor, whatever it is, that's off. Go ahead. There shall
be a visitation.
There shall be a visitation. So should we follow some idolatry? Nah. Go ahead.
Because in the creature of God,
Israel. Because in the creature of God, we are the Israelites. We're the creature of the Most High. Go ahead.
They are become an abomination.
It's become loved. And it's an abomination. Go ahead.
And stumbling block.
And a stumbling block. You see that? That means we tripping and falling over it. Before you fall, you don't think you're going to fall. Before you fall, it seems to be right. There is a way that seems right. I want you brothers to stop and pay attention. What's wrong? You broke the chair?
It's good.
All right. There's nothing we can do about it now, so let's pay attention. So the word of necessity and the word of revenge and the word of being all in, all of those things look at the state of our people. The Gentiles have, you know what it is to infuse something? That means to like mix and blend and put, so they put all different type of idolatry inside of the Israelites. And that's the work that we've got to do. We have to show our people these things that are wrong. So verse 11, start over.
Verse 11, therefore, even upon the idols of the Gentiles shall there be a visitation, because in the creature of God they are become an abomination.
So the creature of God, which is Israel, they like leave it alone. We're good. You got it.
These Israelite Gentiles are these nations.
Those are nations.
Okay.
All right. And the creature is Israel. Right. So it's an abomination to us, but we like the abomination. Like we like the pork, the pig pork chops and pork ribs and stuff, right? Catfish nuggets, right? Shrimp, double battered, deep fried twice, right? Gumbo and the scallops. We like that stuff, right? Those things are an abomination unto us. What else we like? We like swimsuits and two-piece suits and one-piece suits and no suits at all. All of that is an abomination unto the Most High. It's in the creature of God. These are the things that you brothers have got to let go of your selfish life. Sacrifice, willingly go through the war and the battle that you got to go through for yourself, and then come to fight this fight. Like Malachi and his sons and Simon and the rest of his brothers and those Israelites did. We got to come to the fight. You can't come to the fight if you're still the old man, though. Because the old man is not the example that the people going to see. They need to see. They need to see the new man. They saw the old man, and a lot of you, without a show of hands, you might think that you can't live the old man down. Or this is what they know me about. Man, they call me tripping. I was once an old man too. I was once in the same sense. I was once doing all this, then the third too. But you know what? Never again. No, people don't see that because I don't do that. I'm not about that life. Not for a day. So now, since time has evolved and time never stopped, they never saw me return to the oldness of life. People can accept that people change. Remember, we're a holy nation. We're a nation of faith. We're a nation of many beliefs. When I say many beliefs, I'm not talking about philosophies. I'm saying that people can believe that you can change from multiple things. But it's up to you to show them that you can change. But before you can show anybody that you can change, you got to want to change. You got to do it willingly for the benefit of yourself. Okay? So now, and a stumbling block to the souls of men, so that being in the midst of us is a stumbling block, people falling over it. So do we continue to let our people fall over the misunderstanding and the misguidance and the misrepresentations and the ignorance of all these idols and all these exalted things that's inside of us as a nation? No. Right? Holidays, they all idols, right? Right. So we don't continue to let our people stumble over those things. We teach our people differently. But it's hard to teach differently if your mind is looking back. If your mind is somewhere else. Go ahead.
And a snare to the feet of the unwise.
And it's a trap. A snare is a trap. That's right. A snare is a trap that they can't get out of. Imagine that. It snaps their feet and it's so strong. It can't pull it open. Some of those things take a tool to crank it and then it pops open. Our people are trapped. So if the Most High woke you up to this understanding, you didn't know that you were supposed to be the person that springs the trap and lets people loose. That's why you're being told that you're that guy. You've been told that. All right, go ahead.
For the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication.
Devising meaning the making of all of these things. It's the beginning of spiritual. So it ain't physical fornication where two people are touching and they're not supposed to touch. It's spiritual. So people are not unfaithful unto the Most High to all these different actions that they do. Go ahead.
And the invention of them, the corruption of life.
That's why life is corrupted. That's why our neighborhoods look the way that they look. That's why people don't care. It's look like bang, bang, crash 'em up city. You wonder like, what's wrong with this guy? Why are you doing that? Like they have no principles, no morals. Something as simple as stop at a light. Stop at a sign. Wait to get to a trash can. Trash out the window. Trash out the window. You can see them edging up. Or you can see them, they're not going to stop. The corruption of life. What got them to that point? Brothers and sisters, they don't care about their house. They can buy dope after dope after dope, but they won't buy a ladder and get up and scrape their house and paint it. Those are physical things. They won't do nothing. You won't cut your grass. You won't cut a tree down. You won't shovel snow. You won't fix a window. You won't do nothing. What has got our people disconnected from priorities? All these idols. They're straight corrupted to where it's like we go into it. You can go into a neighborhood. Check this out. You can go into a neighborhood and you'll say, "Oh man, white people must stay out." You don't see nobody at all. You say, "Oh, white people must stay out here." You ain't see nobody, white or black. You say, "Oh, white people must stay out here." But then you come into a rundown neighborhood, you say, "Oh, this is where the black people stay at." You didn't see nobody. You say, why are we corrupted to the point to where, not because we thought that, because it's truth, but why are we unattentive till we would even take care of ourselves like a junkie? A dope fiend does not take care of his or herself. What has messed our minds up to not prioritize and not care for ourselves, our surroundings, and things about us? Spiritual fornication. And it's up to you, brothers, to hit the streets and take this message to them. Where they gonna sit? You don't need to bring them all home. They're gonna sit. Whoever the Most High wants to, this is a blessing for you to even be here. For you to get your chair up, you will be as foolish. Straight up. You'll be foolish. But it is your job for you to go out there and give them warning, prevention. You might plant a seed at the Most High at his given time might make it to grow. Because that's what you are doing. You only just planting seeds. But according to the scriptures, all the things that the Gentiles have given them have caused them to be trapped, to stumble, fall, be broken, and be in a trap and snares they can't get out of. So the last thing you should be thinking about is getting high. The last thing you should be thinking about is I'm going to be about myself. That's the last thing you should be thinking about. When we are in dire need like this. This is the most important thing in the world because this is what you were born for. You aren't born to come here and kick it. You aren't born to come here. Esau ran the world that Christ was in, whose face was on the money. But how famous was he for jobs? Oh, yes, I got this business in the Roman kingdom. Yes, I got to go up to the capital of Rome. I got to go up to Rome and get this permission. I got to do this. None of that. He was about his father's business. Whose business are you about? Straight up. Whose business are you about? Where's your heart at? Christ said, wheresoever your heart is, that's where your treasure is too. So you can find out a person, what means the most to them, and to them, that's the most valuable thing to them. You got to check yourself, because if you reckon yourself, you're going to lose in the end. What I'm telling you is right. Let's finish this.
Verse 13. For neither were they from the beginning, neither shall they be forever.
What is it talking about? What is it they for? Neither were they from the beginning. What is that? That's right, the idols. And the idols represent what? The ways. The physical idols and all those ways. So if they weren't from the beginning and neither shall they be forever, it's going to come to pass. So if it's going to come to pass, why are we holding on to it? We ain't holding on to it. Excuse me. We're not holding on to it. Neither should our people hold on to it. This is a message that you delivered to them. It's going to come to pass. Remember, it's said also in 1 John 2 about the world. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. Love not the idols. Not the, you know what I'm saying? Love not these things. That's going to come to pass. It ain't going to be here forever. We fighting. I'll give you an example. The women wearing pants. Men mowing their beards up. The use of drugs. What else? That wasn't with us, but now is with us. And we justify it.
So like Christmas, like holidays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, stuff like that.
Okay, the celebrating of holidays. Okay, that's something. Anything else? Homosexuality. Okay, homosexuality. Man on man, woman on woman. Yeah, being a playboy. Being a playgirl. All right, just a few. It wasn't with us. That type of behavior was not with us. And neither will it forever be with us. So these are the messages that we got to deliver. Okay? Let's go ahead.
Verse 14. For by the vainglory of men they entered into the world, and therefore shall they come shortly to an end.
For the vainglory. What is vainglory?
Like, something that,
Somebody wanting to stick out.
like boasting to get attention.
So listen. Okay, to do it to get attention. What'd you say, boasting? Somebody wanting to stick out, right? So now think about it. You get a man wanting to stick out. Where did he get that behavior from? The Romans, the nations, right? So he get it from them and bring it back to where? He brought it back to us. Right. For by the vainglory of men, they entered into the world. They entered into Israel. And Israel coveted after. They say, oh, let me do this. We read about that in the book of Maccabees about the sports, right? How Jason had brought the Israelites under subjection because he envied the Romans and their sports and their Colosseum, and then he brought it back and he got the chief young men, right? That's this right here. These are the things we explain. Therefore, they shall shortly come to an end. Y'all gotta let brother people know this. Go ahead.
For a father afflicted with untimely mourning, when he had made an image of his child.
Now it's changing up, but he's still correcting. Now he's going into another type of idolatry. A father afflicted with untimely mourning. This father is somebody with power, somebody of control. He's afflicted with untimely mourning. Untimely meaning my child died too soon. So now he's going to memorialize his child. And he wants everybody to remember about his child. And you know we have that syndrome. We sick, master? Go ahead.
Soon taken away. Now honor him as a God.
When he made an image of
sorry. When he made an image of his child,
So
soon taken away.
Right, so he made an image of his child. Yes, he made an image of his child, soon taken away. Go ahead.
Now honor him as a God.
Now he set him up as somebody special. That's what it means is he honored him as a God. He set him up as somebody special. Somebody that nobody would never forget about. People do that today. Oh, we never forget about this person. Go ahead.
Which was then a dead man, and delivered to those that were under him ceremonies and sacrifices. Thus, in process of time, an ungodly custom, grown strong, was kept as a law.
That's right, and they still do it today. Wicked men have days. Oh, this is President's Day. This is such and such a day.
Mm-hmm.
An ungodly custom. These people ain't worthy enough. Name somebody that has a day in the scriptures. Yeah, I'll say that. But, you know, that's with Israel, that's us. And that their assignment is about Israel. Right? And that's when Simon liberated Israel. Right? So it's really not about one man. It's about the day that he sought the will of our people and he brought something to us. It's not about he's fruitless and worship this day. Think about him. Okay, go ahead.
And graven images were worshipped by the commandments of kings.
And graven images. So it was a repetitive thing that kings, as they set up, they continue to do the exact same thing. They did it for Riv, they did it for wrath. Go ahead.
Whom men could not honor in presence because they dwelt far off. They took the counterfeit of his visage from far and made an express image of a king whom they honored, to the end that by this their forwardness they might flatter him that was absent, as if he were present.
As if he were present, because people would straight be thinking that somebody's in heaven looking down at you. No, we get fooled by that. Don't be fooled by nobody's looking at anything. All right, go ahead.
Also, the singular diligence of the artificer did help to set forward the ignorant to more superstition.
Right. Do we understand that? Also, the singular diligent, meaning the man put his spirit into it. It did help to forward ignorance of the superstition. The superstition is the fact that people thought that somebody would be flattered. Somebody would be, the dead would be able to acknowledge what you're doing. You see on TV, oh, I feel the presence. I feel a presence. No, there's no presence. Those are demons. That's not the person that you drew a picture of. Go ahead.
For he peradventure, willing to please one in authority, forced all his skill to make the resemblance of the best fashion. And also the multitude, allured by the grace of the work, took him now for a god, which a little before was but honored as a man. And this was an occasion to deceive the world.
And things like this and everything else was an opportunity to do what? To see the world. So we got to understand. Look at the necessity. Read.
For men serving either calamity or tyranny.
So stop. Let's look this word up. Tyranny. Tyranny. When you look up the word, first it says politics, and then it says Greek history. So it says cruel and oppressive government or rule. Cruel and oppressive government or rule. So we're serving tyranny now. Let's see. Versus that. Calamity. So this was an occasion to deceive the world for men serving either calamity or tyranny. So we're dealing with both of them. Calamity is destructive. We're being destroyed by these nations, and we're serving them under cruel pretense. It ascribed unto stones and stocks the incommunicable name. All right. So in Israel, we got issues and we got problems. And because we have issues and we have problems, this is the reason why we must fully persuade ourselves to do something about it. By getting involved with it and not just learning that we're Israel and then going back to our regular scheduled program. Go ahead.
Verse 22. Moreover, this was not enough for them, that they erred in the knowledge of God.
Right. So not only did our people get deceived into calling, verse 21, this was an occasion to deceive the world for men serving either calamity or tyranny. So now we're under oppression, being destroyed and cruel government. We did ascribe, meaning unto stones and stocks, the incommunicable name, meaning the name of the Most High. We got the Most High associated with what? The calamity, the tyranny, stones, and stones meaning rocks, and stocks meaning wood. So we, in other words, we mixed the Most High and blended the Most High into the buffoonery that we got passed down to us from the nations and from people that through envy of the nations brought it back to us. And now people are completely confused when they say, oh, it ain't but one God. Yeah, we know it, but it's not the idol that you're dealing with. It's not the stock. It's not the stone. It's not the philosophy. It's what the scriptures say. And people are completely confused. Do we understand what this is saying? And they can't tell the difference because what they got going on, they are allowed to be whatever they want it to be. I shared a video where it was a pastor he was being interviewed by this guy until at the end he got up and he walked off. Did y'all see that? You see the whole thing? Yeah. He was saying that he's a homosexual pastor, and that he was called by God, and that he was accepted even as a homosexual to preach the gospel. He was saying all kind of bugged out stuff, but the guy was nice to him, and he kept twisting him up, and he made the guy end up just taking off, saying, "Man, I'm finna go." Yeah, up and down that he was called by God to be a homosexual. He said that God can be anything that you want him to be. He can be a woman if he need to be. The guy asked him, "Can God be a homosexual?" I think that's when he got up.
He asked him, is God cool with him being homosexual and teaching people?
Okay.
Like, I don't want to answer that. Yeah, I said,
So yeah, it was. So our people are called. Listen. Let's see. Our people, we put the incommunicable name in the midst of all of this, and you gotta get people to differentiate and bring the Most High up out of that situation. They can't say that the Most High is dealing with them when they're in the midst of sins. Okay, this is your job. Go ahead.
Moreover, this was not enough for them, that they erred in the knowledge of God. But whereas they lived in the great war of ignorance, those so great plagues called they peace.
That's right. So our people call everything that happened to us, they call it peace. And they call it peace by they can be pulled upside down out of an accident bleeding. I thank God I didn't die. Yeah, thank God you didn't die, but he did just flip you over like 10 times. You know what I'm saying? To where the back seat is like touching your head, man. He just brought death right there to you. So the Most High plague us, we be calling it peace. So we're fighting a war of ignorance. So when our people don't know, it's your job to teach them to know. So I think I'm gonna stop it right there. Any questions? Okay, Trevon.
When Solomon is talking about all this, is he like relating to the future, or is this happening like in his time period right now?
When Solomon was talking about this, was he talking about in his time period or the future? The future. Any other questions? Okay, Matthew 26.
The book of Matthew, chapter 26 and verse 6. Now when Christ was in Bethany, in the house of Simon the leper, There came unto him a woman having an alabaster box of very precious ointment, poured it on his head, and he said, "Look." And when his disciples saw it, they had indignation, saying, "To what purpose is this waste? For this ointment might have been sold for much and given to the poor." When Christ understood it, he said unto them, "Why trouble ye the woman? For she hath wrought a good work upon me. For ye have the poor always with you, but me ye have not always. For that she hath poured this ointment on my body, she did it for my burial. Verily I say unto you, wheresoever this gospel shall be preached in the whole world, there shall also this that this woman hath done be told for a memorial of her." So we want to give all praises to the Most High for sending this woman Mary with a broken and contrite spirit to come and comfort Christ before his burial. The Lord's Communion, 1 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 23. For I have received of the Lord that which also I delivered unto you, that the Lord the Christ, the same night in which he was betrayed, took bread. And when he had given thanks, he brake it and said, "Take, eat, this is my body which is broken for you. This do in remembrance of me." After the same manner also he took the cup when he had supped, saying, "This cup is the New Testament in my blood. This do ye as often as ye drink it in remembrance of me. For as often as ye eat this bread and drink this cup, ye do show the Lord's death till he come. Wherefore, whosoever shall eat this bread and drink this cup of the Lord unworthily shall be guilty of the body and blood of the Lord. But let a man examine himself, and so let him eat of that bread and drink of that cup. For he that eateth and drinketh unworthily eateth and drinketh damnation to himself, not discerning the Lord's body. For this cause many are weak and sickly among you, and many sleep. For if we would judge ourselves, we should not be judged. But when we are judged, we are chastened of the Lord, that we should not be condemned with the world.
Okay. Did somebody read it already?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, most high in the name of Christ, thank you for the food and drink, amen.
Amen.
This is body broken for you. This is blood. All right. So listen up. We are going to send up prayers, then immediately sit back down, and then I'm gonna tell y'all about the situation that we have, and then that'll be it. It should only take a quick moment. All right, so let's go. Okay, Israel.
If every man was just like me, what kind of sanctuary would this be?
The Lord's Prayer, Matthew 6:9. Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power and the glory forever. In Christ's name we pray, amen.
Amen.
The labor's prayer, Luke 10:2. Therefore said he unto them, the harvest truly is great, but the labors are few. Pray therefore the Lord of the harvest that he will send forth labors into his harvest. Bless you, Most High King of heaven and earth, and all things, Most High, in the name of the Christ. Send more disciples and teachers to your harvest, to gather the people of Israel, and send counsel behind your laws, to stand before that people of Israel. Give to us strength to break down our lives with thy word. In Christ's name we pray, amen.
Amen.
The blessing of Israel, Numbers chapter 6:24. Children of Israel, the Lord bless and keep thee. The Lord make his face shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. The Lord lift up his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. In Christ's name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Okay, children of Israel, bless one another.
Most High name of Christ, bless you all.
All right. No, go back. All right, Israelites. So Most High Christ bless good night. All right, I'm gonna let y'all go so you deal with some in-house stuff. Shalom. Do that. So you still can't know what's going on.